For the gameplay, I didn't know you can just bomb in from the top, so just ignore that when you're watching this video, I guess as far as the gameplay section goes. But as far as the actual video itself goes, I'm going to talk about why I decided to go for rank 1 mastery and powering. Now, I don't know if this will motivate you guys, or if you're just interested in hearing my story, or if you're just here because, you know, you wanted to see some cash and clean content. But anyway, let's begin the story of why I decided to go for rank 1 mastery. So this, I have to take you guys back to 2016 when I played back on console. So when I played back on there, I had no idea what I was doing, and as some people, you know, when they first get Trove, might be a similar experience. I mean, the game itself is pretty complicated. You kind of get the general idea of what to do, and the quest kind of helps you. So you just pick a character, you level them up, and then try to make them strong. Simple as that. And the thing is, at least back in like 2016, that's around the time when I played Overwatch, I think something changed, like the competitiveness inside of me. Because before this, I played COD. I can't really say I played COD professionally because you just play multiplayer, but whenever I play a game, I like to figure out what the best strategy is for whatever it is. Like, at least for COD, it's like the best weapons, best way to get XP, best way to do pretty much everything. And when I play a new game, I try to research those exact things. I might just do a blind playthrough of the game, but to me it's more fun when I actually get to the top ranks and try to be the absolute best that I can. So when I played Overwatch for the first time, I had no idea what I was doing. I was pretty bad, but it was pretty rewarding at the same time because it seemed like you got a kill pretty easily. And if you haven't played Overwatch, I don't really recommend it nowadays, but at least back then for Overwatch 1, it used to be pretty fun. And I played that game a ton. I put in a lot of hours into that game, and I wasn't really doing a whole lot back then, so I was pretty much in school. I did end up having a job, but then I think at some point the job and the school just couldn't go together, so I just had to do one, and then I just ended up switching, and then it was a huge mess. I can get into all that in another story time. But regardless, back then I had a ton of time to play. Now that I have a full-time job, I don't have as much time to play, but I can still play Trove or just, you know, just casually chill in the game. But before I get into Trove, so for Overwatch, I was pretty bad at it. I guess okay-ish, because my very first season I hit diamond rank, which is pretty much right in the middle, and it's at the point where it's like better than average. And that was kind of how I was in games. I wasn't just like average, I was just like a little bit better than average. And that was with like most games that I played. I played video games since a very young age, so I was just all in, locked in. Like, I wanted to be the absolute best in every game that I played. And if I wasn't the best, if I lost or whatever the case was, then I would do whatever it takes to get to the top. I would watch a lot of content related to that game just to be really good at it. And that's what I ended up doing with Overwatch. So after my first season, I actually put in a lot of time to grind, put in more hours. I talked to a lot of other people that played the game. I duoed, I trioed, I even 6-stacked back in the day. I tried to get a better feel for the game. And after my second season, I pretty much almost hit GM. I didn't fully grind comp a bunch, mainly because I was afraid of dropping too much. But after my third season, I don't even know how much I think the seasons were like once every 3-ish months or something like that, maybe 2 months. I'm not too sure. And this wasn't the only game that I was playing. Like, I still swapped between other games. I did school stuff. I played a bit of Minecraft just like casually, just like a random survival world. I played Rocket League, still played COD, did like zombies and stuff like that. So even though I was playing Overwatch, I was still playing other games as well. But after my third season, I actually hit GM. And the cool thing about that is that once I hit GM on my main account, that's when the alt accounts began. And it's kind of funny because now any game I play, I pretty much just make alt accounts unless it's not needed. Like Call of Duty, you don't really need alt accounts. And part of the reason why I made alt accounts on Overwatch was because I pretty much reached the highest rank you can get to in Overwatch, which is GM. And I tried to do that on my alt account. And on the same season, I did exactly that, which was insane. But then I got to the point where, okay, my friends aren't at this rank, so I'm gonna need more alt accounts depending on which rank they're at, just so I can play with them if they wanted to play comp. So I made even more alt accounts, and I just did my placements, I did whatever, got to a certain rank and just left it there. And then whenever I played with friends, we would climb a pretty good amount, and then the accounts just ended up being too high, so I had to make even more alt accounts. So long story short, I was getting pretty good at the game, even though I was playing at the lower ranks. But it's more so, let's put it this way, if your friend isn't at the exact level as you are and you're better than them, you're gonna have to do even more work to carry that game. And that's pretty much what I ended up having to do. Now, most of the friends that I played with were pretty good. I had some friends that just didn't really care about the game as much, just played casually. And then I had some friends that wanted to get better, but they just weren't improving, and then they just switched to other games. So it was kind of like a mix. But either way, if you have a friend that's not as good as you, it's going to be kind of hard to carry that game even harder. So not only do you have to like hit every shot, you have to be at the right place, right time, have the right mindset. I mean, we were just kind of casually playing, we're just messing around for the most part. We did try, but like we didn't take things as seriously. Like if we're just getting stomped on, then like we didn't take that to heart or anything like that. We just kind of moved on, simple as that. And without making this into like a straight up Overwatch type video, I'll get into the Trove section. But that was just an idea of like my competitiveness and just like me doing what I can to get to the top ranks, like playing the absolute best as I can. So when I played a game like Trove is obviously not like a skillful game or anything like that. You just have to know what you're doing. And I had no idea what I was doing when I played Trove. When I first played it back on console, I'll just start there. My friend was just like constantly looking up like how to get the best mounts or like how to get dragons and just things like that. Mounts didn't really matter too much, but at the same time it is mastery. I didn't know what he was doing at the time. I just didn't want to feel like I was getting left behind. It seemed like he was already like, I don't know, he was getting a little bit further ahead of me and I was getting a little bit jealous because I was like, all right, well, I don't want to be left behind here. I want to catch up, have my power rank and all that stuff matter, because at the end of the day we're just getting strong enough to do shadow towers, because that was like the main thing that we were looking for, and that was like the main purpose of Trove. That was my main motivation for playing. I loved shadow towers, and obviously the grind was pretty fun too. But after my friend got off, I pretty much just watched a bunch of videos. I don't know, I was watching Sayushi, I was watching, I can't remember his name, but there's this dude on Xbox that I used to watch. He had some pretty good stories. He didn't really get straight to the point in his videos all the time, which I didn't really mind too much, but he seemed like a pretty cool guy. Gave out some decent tips for Trove, and there's like a couple other content creators for Trove. I guess they all quit by now, unfortunately, but either way, I watched a ton of guides how to get more power rank. I didn't really care about the damage portion. I just wanted to get more power rank because I didn't really understand what all that meant. So like gems, leveling, all that stuff. I tried to look it up, and after a while, I was starting to get the hang of it. I was actually able to solo dungeons and stuff like that. Not efficiently, but I was doing them. And I also found some tricks along the way. So if you guys didn't know, U9 was like the highest dungeon at a certain point, and that was for farming stellar gems. And when I say U9, that's like the equivalent to today's D12. I wasn't like amazing at soloing dungeons, but I found a cool little trick. If you played a certain character that dealt a lot of damage, you could use the Samantha ally, or I think it was the Samantha one of them that gives HP. It was like 2.2% of your max health or something like that every time you do damage. My friend played Draco, so when you're playing Draco, you're constantly doing damage. I think I played Ice Age at the time, so even though I wasn't dealing damage like consistently all the time because it was based off your attack speed and just how much you're attacking, I was still getting HP back, so I wasn't gonna get one shot, and I was doing more damage than the boss was doing to me, depending on the boss. Some bosses dealt a ton of damage, but that's when I actually used my dodge ability to avoid those, because I thought the dodge ability was actually a handy ability. Now it's just mainly for movement speed, and I guess you can use it for dodging and stuff like that for certain one-shot things, or just like when you're about to take big damage. Also, it's really good in coin challenges. I recommend using that if you want to get that extra little bit of movement speed. But as I was playing Trove on console, I mean, it just got way too grindy, but I was finally at the point where I got as close as I could to max power rank. I think there's like other things I could have done, but I was kind of getting lazy and it was just a little bit too much, but I got pretty close to the top. I think max around that time was like 25k. I was at 22k-ish, maybe 20k, somewhere around there. And then I was pretty up there for mastery. I think max was like around 300 or so, and I think I was around like 200, pretty close to it. Not like the exact amounts, but we're doing some moves. So as I was getting pretty close to max, I had everything. They released the DD and Hydra update for Shadow Towers, and then that was when a whole lot of things changed. So you needed keys to open up the vaults in the Shadow Tower area. Oh, and they also added the Gem Forge. But then I was like, okay, this game just got way too grindy. It's not for me anymore. I disbanded my Shadow Tower group. And yes, I actually had a group designated for Shadow Towers. We had like a PlayStation group. We had like a specific meeting to like meet at a certain time. And we would just like set aside some time to do the Ultra Shadow Towers. And it was so annoying because once we got to the point where we could solo Ultra, that's when they just added all this. So we kind of just all stopped playing. I played like every once in a while, and then I just slowly went away. And between 2016 and 2019, because I played Trove on PC in 2019, I played pretty much just random games. So I played a little bit of Valorant, played a little bit of Dead by Daylight. I think I went back to Overwatch for like a little bit, and I think I also threw in a bit of Rocket League in there. And pretty much in those games, I tried to be the absolute best as I could. I wasn't good at Valorant. I didn't really want to be. I could care less. Valorant just wasn't my type of game. I think it's cool what other people can do in that game, but it's just not for me. Whereas Rocket League, I got pretty far in Rocket League, although I think it was 2021 or 2022 where I hit Grand Champ, but I couldn't have done that alone. Got a little bit of help from my friend, but I was slowly improving, doing some bits. Then for Dead by Daylight, I pretty much got to Red Rank, which, if you guys don't know, Red Rank, I think they changed the ranking system like entirely, but Red rank was the highest rank you can get to, so I made it there. And like I mentioned, when I play a game, I just try to set aside time just to learn the game and watch guides, how other people play the game and like what the best route is. So fast forwarding to when I started Trove on PC, I was really sad that I couldn't move over my console stuff, so that was like a huge letdown. But I started live streaming my journey, and that's when things changed, because not only did I get help, but I was actually enjoying the game. Like it was really fun. And even though I wanted to get to the top, it felt pretty difficult considering the amount of things added to the game. I didn't think I was gonna hit. My plan at all wasn't to get max mastery or max power rank. I just wanted to solo dungeons. That was pretty much it. And that's what I tried to go for. I did my quest lines. I literally followed the game step by step on what you're supposed to do. So I followed the quest lines. I went to U9 or D12, the equivalent for today. I farmed myself some stellar gems. I did these shadow towers, which it was shadow towers back then, and then eventually swapped over to delves. But before it swapped over to delves, like I was doing pretty good. I was catching up. I made it to geo topside. I was farming some crystal gear. I was farming as much flux as I could, because then I used that to buy certain dragons off the marketplace. And on top of that, I was just buying mounts and allies, things like that. And most importantly, I was also leveling up my classes. Now I did get the Sweet 16 pack, but I did also have to craft. Actually, no, I didn't have to craft anybody. I was thinking of Bard, but I guess Bard was later. But the Sweet 16 pack helped out a pretty good amount. And I guess farming 100k flux was like nothing back then, because when I was live streaming, I had a couple people send over 100k to me, but that was just a couple. Sometimes I would go upwards of like 500k flux, or I would have like 300k flux, but I try to have at least some left over in case I wanted to do like power rank related stuff, so leveling up gems. And it took me a while to kind of figure out the whole process of getting flux and then getting the right gems, the boosts, all that stuff. It was pretty insane. But once I figured it out for one class, I figured it's pretty much the same exact thing for every class, apart from like Draco and Tomb Raiser with like minor changes. But that's when the game started to get a little bit easier. Maybe not easy in terms of like some things later on you needed a lot more flux to get, and the further on you get in the game you need more flux, so that part was a bit annoying. But everything else was pretty easy. Like the game was pretty straightforward. You knew what to do, all you had to do was just farm for it. So that's what I did. I leveled up all of my classes, I farmed more flux, I got more mounts, I started participating in every single event. I try to get all the mastery items related to it. I even kept up with the packs. And just from doing all of that, just playing the game for an entire year, I was pretty close to catching up in mastery. I just had to get a couple random Luxian items and just maybe some more dragons. I can't fully remember what I exactly needed back then, but I was getting pretty close. And once I got super close, I think I was missing like maybe a couple things. They added the delve update, and that ruined a lot because they added a bunch of like mounts, the banners, mementos, just it was awful. So I had to take a lot of time just to farm all of that stuff, but the thing that motivated me the most for continuing playing and just like farming for the mastery stuff was just setting little goals. So like one day I would just prioritize doing badges because I was getting close, or maybe I just wanted to do it because maybe I was just farming gem boxes, so I wanted to do things related to badges that were related to the gem boxes, whether it's like boxes opened or doing dungeons, or there's another one for like breaking blocks and stuff like that, so when you're breaking blocks in the dungeon. So that was like the main thing. I would combine my farms together. So even though rank 1 mastery wasn't what I was going for, I still wanted to be a completionist and complete everything, because in Modern Warfare 3 way back in the day, that's exactly what I try to do. I try to be a completionist, getting all the calling cards and all that stuff, the emblems, and even getting to max rank. But I got banned twice, but I got a lot of them still. Either way, that's besides the point. I've already mentioned that on my main channel for a different story time, and overall I think you guys get the point. So I was just farming things one by one, and sometimes just combining things to help out either my power rank or just multiple mastery things at the same time, and it felt like a huge weight just leaving my shoulders. Finishing all the levels for classes, like that was a huge weight off my shoulders. Certain badges, huge weight, like the gardening stuff, the professions, all that stuff mattered a ton. And if you're curious about my mastery journey, I recommend checking that out on my main channel, my journey for rank 1 mastery. So the only reason why I even went for it was because I was just getting really close to rank 1, so that's why I went for it. Because when you're really low, or not even really low, even if you're like, I don't know, let's just say 500 mastery and total is 900, for example, like that 400 mastery, you might be like, well, maybe I want to go for rank 1, but there's still a ton of stuff. So since there's a ton of stuff, just set smaller goals and don't worry about the big picture. That could be for later. And I'm not going to make this too much longer, but I guess I'll briefly go over the power rank section. So for power rank, it was pretty much the same thing as the mastery, except there's a couple things that made a huge difference, and I'll get into that in a second, because it was like a huge game changer for not only me but for a lot of people. But I treated power rank like I did with mastery. I would set small goals. My main mission, I started off with gunslinger. That was horrible. Don't ever do that for your farming class, like your first ever class. My idea was pick a farming class, make sure you're able to solo with that farming class, build it up as best as you can, and then go for a damage class. And then after the damage class, go for a magic set and a physical set. Then after that, maybe get a backup class in case one of them get nerfed. So I had about 4 or 5 classes that were either maxed or close to max, and that's what I was just working on. Because once you get a farming class that's able to farm efficiently, you can use that farming class to give gems and other things to your other classes. So that made it a lot easier, and that's just all I wanted to work for. We had permatorches at some point, so I was casually farming those as well. I had pretty good RNG when it came to permatorches. I can talk about a lot of stuff for the whole powering thing, but I'll get into that later. Maybe for a future video, but I'm just gonna briefly go over it. After I got those classes, I still didn't want to go for rank 1 powering. I thought it was insane that people there's a few people that were like pretty close to the top, like they had multiple classes maxed, but there was one person in particular. I don't know if you guys remember E-Turn or know about him, but he had rank 1 mastery and power rank. He was a legend at this game, and I believe before his time there might have been one other person that had both. And when I say that, I'm talking about like at least when I played, like back in 2019 and onwards. I'm not sure what happened before that, but pretty much, long story short, this is when the devs added Skellies and Frosty boxes, and these boxes were incredibly overpowered because you got Bound Brilliance, got gem booster boxes, empowered gems, spoiled divinities, a ton of dragon coins. You got a bunch of stuff, all related to powering. And because of how OP these boxes were, you got pretty much everything you needed. All you had to do is just go farm the gear and the gems, and that was pretty much it. That's all you had to do. So because we were blessed with those items, and they're tradable back then, so remember that, I used that to max out every single one of my classes, because I was like, well, I'm not going to get another opportunity besides this, so I'm gonna do what I can to get as many of these boxes as I can. So I farmed for them, obviously, and I got pretty much most of my classes maxed. Unfortunately, this is when later on they decided to add crystal gems, and later on crystal 5 gear, and now we currently have mystic gear. But I pretty much followed the same footsteps, although Skellies, Frosties, I think those lasted about 2-ish years, and then now they're pretty much all removed from the game. And you have to remember, this wasn't like all overnight type thing. Like, I was playing the game a ton, and because I was playing the game a ton, I had a ton of qubits left over, so I used a ton of my qubits to buy crystal gem converters. Now, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done that, because like I said, I had a ton of Skellies and Frosties, and I opened a ton of them, and because of that, I also had a ton of Bound Brilliance, so I could have just farmed a new set of gems instead of going through a bunch of my qubits, but it is what it is. I ended up getting some qubits back, so I'll have to wait until Mystic Gems, but long story short, I ended up finishing my gem grind. I ended up getting as far as I can for the gear, and I'm pretty much all done with mastery, so all that's left is finishing up my power rank. So the main takeaway for this is you can go for these big goals, but you need to set smaller ones in order to reach those goals. Otherwise, you're gonna get burnt out, you're gonna quit the game, and you're just gonna see these players, and you're gonna think so negatively of these players, and you're gonna be jealous of people that pass you, and all these people that are ahead of you. So that's my main advice. Don't let other people discourage you from playing this game, just play at your own pace. If you wanna be a tryhard, be a tryhard, by all means go for it. But if you wanna play the game casually, because maybe you play other competitive games, or just other stressful games, like, I don't know, maybe League of Legends or something, for example, and you want Trove to be like your chill game, so you can make Trove exactly that, because you can play the game however you want to, and you can progress at your own pace. At the time of me recording this, I have mastery done, and I'm number 3 for power rank. I'm going to work on getting number 1 for that just for a little bit, then I'll let Squeeze take it back. And as far as future content goes, we'll see if I end up keeping up with the mastery and the power rank, because it's a pain doing this for every single class. The mastery too, just farming flux, credit pouches, all that stuff, but at the end of the day, it's really fun. And that is the exact reason why you guys should play Trove, because it is fun. Despite all the negativity that it brings with like the lag and all that stuff, and the devs. Although the devs are doing pretty good now, so we'll see how it goes. Either way, hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Drop a like, does help out this channel a ton, and hit that subscribe button if you're new, and I'll see you guys later.